Hello, welcome back to the workshop. For the past 9 months, I have been restoring a 1953 NSU Max 250 motorcycle. It's a German bike with a unique rod-driven overhead cam. I'm making a feature-length film that shows everything from the day I got it to the first ride, the full restoration.
Oh, and Mr. Adair, these parts are quite rare. There are those, they do anything to get them. Be careful.
Understood, thank you. As part of that, I filmed hundreds of hours of detailed footage. Too much detail for a video like that, but enough to create smaller, more specific, or more targeted videos. In today's video, we're going to focus on the engine. We're going to take it apart, clean everything out, find a lot of missing parts, paint it, and put it back together. It's going to turn out great. It'll look just like this. If that interests you, stay tuned. We'll get started. Back when I first got the bike, I looked into the ports and I noticed there were no valves. So I'm eager to see what we find when we get in here. Yeah, we're missing most of the top end. We're missing the valves, those hairpin springs. It looks like we're missing the bolt that goes through, the eccentric for the cam drive, and the counterweight. So we're missing a lot of expensive parts that make this bike unique. I'm gonna have to track these down. There's some sort of an oil port. It goes towards the cam body. Oh, good Lord. This is the exhaust cam. This should be flat. Look how worn in this is. It's really rough too. The intake side looks all right. A little wear right in the center. This exhaust lobe, it's completely worn out. Let's figure out how to get it out of there. Somebody's broken the snap ring. Only half of it is here. I'll have to get creative. I did get that out. What it ultimately took was a pair of butter knives and a lot of patience. There's the cam and a lot of loose balls. Let's count them. 1, 2, 17, 18. It looks to be in good shape. The bearing feels really gritty though. So this is the intake lobe. You can see it's kind of egg-shaped. This is the exhaust lobe. The tip is completely gone. It's a really sharp profile now. So it looks like maybe it wasn't oiled well. We're going to have to follow up on that, make sure the oil pump works correctly. I've been through the engine and done a full inspection. This is my plan. So the bottom end is in really good shape. It shifts well, the gearbox looks good. I'm not going to mess with that. I am going to spray it with some brake parts cleaner and clean it out. The piston and cylinder, they measure within spec as well. They're on the loose end, but these parts are ridiculously expensive and they're hard to get. So I'm going to reuse those. I will run a hone through the cylinder, and I will also run some really fine emery cloth over the piston to remove some of the scratches. The rings are also in good shape. When I put them in the bore, the end gap is within spec. The original rings, however, are 70 years old, so I'm going to replace those. I discovered that rings from a BMW R50 are near identical. So I'm going to use R50 rings when I put it back together. I'm going to use two types of paint on this engine. For the higher temp areas, like the cylinder and the head, I'm going to use ceramic engine enamel. This stuff is good to 500 degrees, and I think it'll take the heat. For the side covers and for the valve cover, I'm going to use a 2K paint. This is Eastwood's Alumablast. I've not used it, but it's supposed to do a really good job of replicating cast aluminum. So that's why I chose it. We'll see if it works out. I have most of the engine parts painted now. I'm ready to put things back together. I was waiting on some valve seals from Germany. Those came yesterday, so I'm going to start with the cylinder head. Once I get this together, then I can shift my focus over to the bottom end. I'm waiting on some piston rings. When I get those, this is kind of the last thing I need. So let's put the cylinder head back together. Before I put this back together, I want to make sure everything is absolutely clean. I'm going to wipe down the inside with a rag and some mineral spirits, and I want to run a bore brush in through each of the guides to make sure those are clean. Alright, so those two are in. This is the exhaust and the intake side. Alright.
I was unable to get a composite gasket for this, so instead I'm using copper. I need to anneal it before I install it. There's not enough room in the cylinder head for conventional head bolts. Instead, this engine uses a two-piece design with left-hand threads.
Oh.
This engine uses lip seals and roller bearings. I was able to order those from Master Car.
So the oil pump is on, it's tightened down. The crank bearing is on and the crank end play has been set. Now it's time to install the bearing retainer. This carries the crank bearing and it carries the cam drive gear. It's also got a lip seal and provides oil flow. So oil would come out of the pump, up through here, down in through the crank to lubricate the crank bearings, and then it flows up through here and over into the gearbox. I'm going to spin the engine over, let you guys watch how this cam drive works. I've set the valve clearances, 0.1 millimeters on the exhaust, 0.05 on the intake. I'm going to put the valve cover on now. I'm going to use washers. They're not appropriate. They weren't on the bike originally, but I want to be able to spread the load, spread the clamping force of these smaller head screws. And I also want to prevent the paint from getting all chewed up. So I was lucky. I stumbled across a brand new clutch kit for this bike. This one was in the United States. It didn't have to come from Germany.
The manual for this says that these spring nuts should be about 5 millimeters above the face of the clutch, so I've used a caliper to set those there.
Yeah, that's working really well. Clutch actuation on this motor is a little bit unusual. So there's a trumpet-shaped piece. I've already put that in. That's on the clutch side. That pushes directly on the pressure plate, but that doesn't go all the way through the motor. So then it uses a series of ball bearings and rods to accomplish the total push. So I assume that the trumpet-shaped piece spins with the clutch and the ball bearings act as bearings. And then it's a rod. And then it's another ball. And another rod. And that is what the clutch pushes on when you pull the clutch cable. So there's a rotary mechanism in the housing. I'll show you that. But as you pull it, it pushes inward, pushes on this, and this is what actuates the clutch. So when you pull on the cable, you can see how this rotates outward. That action there is what actuates the clutch. I put a ball bearing in there. That ball bearing will engage with that rod that I just showed you. And then on the outside, there's a cover that you remove to actually adjust where your clutch engages. And there's a screw on the underside for that.
I'm using a modern electronic ignition with this bike. I'm not going to install it now. I don't want it to get damaged. When the engine is on the bike and I do the wiring, that's when I'll put it in. So here's how it turned out. It was a lot of work, a lot of expense, but I'm really happy with the result. It's ready to go back in the bike now.
Alright guys, this is as far as I'm going to take the engine in today's video. You won't get to see it run today, I'm sorry for that. This is actually part of a much larger feature-length film I'm working on, showing the restoration of a 1953 NSU Max. I've been working on that project since March. I'm really excited to have it out, and I hope you're excited to see it. If this interests you, hopefully that will too. So with that, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this. Thank you. Hey guys, it's me again. In next week's video, we're going to repair and paint the frame for this unique motorcycle. If you enjoyed today's content, you might enjoy that too. Consider hitting the notification bell. That way, when I release that video, you'll know about it. So with that, thanks for watching.